All right, friends, welcome back again to another episode of Tactical Enlightenment. Our YouTube channel is dedicated to all things Bannerlord related, and especially Battlefield Command and Advanced Tactics. And we are going to defend the city of Ortysia today for our City and Castle Defense series. We're outnumbered 3-1 here. The enemy has all Tier 3 through 6 units. We have all Tier 3 through 6, but let's go ahead and give us some militia here just to make this harder than normal. Most of these series, we're going to be at least outnumbered 3-1, and as usual, we will give a baseline here and familiarize ourselves with this city using the Sergeant mode. We'll let the Sergeant drunkenly stagger through a bad siege defense here and take a look at this city. Now, I do recall defending this city. In fact, I thought I had made a guide for this. I went and looked through some of my files on YouTube and I don't see one. There's a possibility, a small possibility, that this is a duplicate. If it is, I apologize. I have had some people requesting it lately though, and I did not find it in the City and Castle Defense series. We will continue making this City and Castle Defense series every time I have 15 minutes. I can just pull off one of these custom battles. Very easy for me to do. It's a little bit like a Rubik's Cube. Some people engage in Sudoku or whatever it is, mental games. They do Wordle and shit like that on a daily basis. Strengthen your brain right before you go to the gym and strengthen your muscles. I will do siege defense. Of course, hopefully these guides help people out there defend in your campaign. If you're looking for a specific city or castle, eventually we'll have all of them on the YouTube channel and a little pump to our Patreon. We are going to have the majority of them on Patreon first. In fact, there are probably 40 or so that are on Patreon right now that are not yet on YouTube. Partly, I don't want to inundate the YouTube channel with like 30 siege defense guides in 10 days. But so far, so good. The AI is doing a decent job. Well, never mind. They just pulled a huge amount of the forces off the walls there. Now, the courtyards have plentiful space here to put archers, but these fucking buildings and this statue are in the way. Someone's egotism is going to make it harder for us to defend here. I like the amount of space. Unfortunately, the AI is not using it at all. Now, these... Man, if only we could use this giant building here, this like mausoleum or mansion or whatever it is with these steps. This is where you want to put archers, but unfortunately, the developers, Tailworlds, I don't think they intended us using the little back fortifications to defend cities. So a lot of those places are not useful. Still, let's see if we can come up with the recipe here. There's enough room in the courtyard. There's the stairs. And I think what we can do here is we can try a bifurcated defense. Now, early on in Siege, you always want to prioritize your defense with your catapults. In this example, we have 2 catapults. We have a regular catapult and then a fire catapult. I always prefer the fire catapults because it does more damage to Siege. We're going to try to destroy a siege tower, and you want to decide early on which one you're trying to take out, basically. You want to have a plan before the battle starts. As a firefighter, I can tell you throughout my professional career, we train on a regular basis, even us old dogs, and that is so at 2 in the morning, I can, fight fire to house fire, do all the complicated things we do, and then do CPR on somebody without thinking, right? Because if you have that muscle memory trained into you, it's a lot easier when stress starts to arrive. I can make these guys fall off over and over. LOL. All right, so we're going to do a little bit of scouting here. I'm going to run 4 divisions of infantry and 4 divisions of archers. As usual, we're not going to put archers on the walls. This city does look like you might have some success putting archers on the walls, but not in the front, right? You would use one of these 2 sides for flanking fire. Now, the front gate, high-level troops, spear, shield, and a high-tier preference, right? Because that gate must hold out, right? That will be assaulted. We're probably going to try to destroy the right siege tower because there seems like a little more space. The 3rd division is a shock troop division, right? So the 4th is the same as the 1st. In other words, it's spear, shield, and lower tier preference. They're basically an auxiliary infantry division. Let's see. So siege tower here. They have a stairway over here, so we could put this 4th division just at the base of the stairs here to make sure they can't charge off. Also, they're kind of out of the way there. The 2nd division is javelin throwers, so I zoom in here. All these guys have javelins, and of course you get that by selecting the little javelin icon and shields, and you get your shock, or you get your javelin division with the Aserai. And let's start looking at where we can put archers. Like I said before, the buildings here and this fucking statue are in the way of our line of sight. I would say this city at a glance is a D+. And I've had a guy say I've been getting owned at Ortysia over and over again. hopefully we can still come up with a recipe to help him. I can see why, though, he's having a hard problem. This is a very ugly city corridor here to defend. Now, these archers here have pretty good line of sight, and that stairway helps. Notice that angle I put those archers at. These the fifth corps can be right here, and most of those guys can shoot, and the distance away is vital. They'll still be able to shoot around the edge of that square. Now, there's no fucking room back here because of these fucking statues, right? These statues in this stupid building, whatever it's for. If I was the governor here, that thing would be torn down immediately, right? And I would make myself, my mistress, a nice castle somewhere, nice tower somewhere where I could visit. All right, so the 1st Division, also notice it's pulled back from the gate some there. I'll explain that once the battle starts. A lot of times you'll see me do a heavy defended one side with the infantry tilted to the side. Here, we're going to try to destroy that siege tower because these archers over here can shoot this siege tower, but not the other side, right? The other side is so much smaller over there that it's going to be hard to wedge in units over here. So 7th Division is shield archers. In the Asterized case, these guys all have a shields. If you're using the Imperials, they might be crossbowmen with the shield, right? And that's something I like to do for castle defense. That way you can steal from that division, F3, F5, and add them to the gate. So I think this is going to work. We'll have to watch that 7th Division. And this 1st Division, again, one of the critical concepts is there's now space between those guys, right? And what I mean by that, between the two sides here, the enemy will have to basically approach them, and that'll expose them to both of those archers. The last thing I did there while I was talking is I put that shield line of Aserai Mamluk archers, the mounted archers, into a line formation and told them to stop quickly. It's something I talk about a lot. It's something I've only been doing for about 4 months, but it's highly effective. They keep that tight formation, but then they will shoot. If they're in shield wall, they won't shoot if they have a shield, right? Of course, if you put Fiend Champs in shield wall, they'll still shoot. They'll just be right next to each other. Now, we've got counter siege here. To make this a little harder, we gave the enemy a catapult. So you just got to keep an eye on that, right? That'll kill you. And these dipshits here, they get kind of stuck. You got to do this little dance with them. But this should be easy to kill, right? It's a long ways away. Bam. In fact, we hit it and the other catapult hit it. So we're going to be able to take down that siege tower. And when you're in a situation where you know you can take out the siege tower, start doing that, right? Start to aim a little bit above it. That way, if your shots miss, you know, aim towards the top of it, basically. That way, if you miss, you end up killing a dozen guys instead, right? Another miss where we killed a bunch of elite troops. This dipshit keeps trying to take my position. This is my fucking catapult, dude. Get the fuck out of here. You don't have a YouTube channel? Pack sand. All right, so 1 or 2 more shots, I think. Yeah, it's down to like a fraction of health. 1 or 2 more shots here. In fact, the other catapult killed it. Now we can kill some of these troops. And really, this siege should be over at this stage. The reason I say that is because the enemy is now limited to only this siege tower on our left here. And of course, I probably could have at least some chance of taking that thing out, but I don't want to do that. That would just make this siege too easy. I think 3 shots from this catapult would probably take it out. But let's use these fire catapults. God damn, I'm getting drilled. 50 damage this wussy took. Let's use some of these fire catapults here, of course, to immolate some of these troops coming in. Now, if you don't have a fire catapult in this situation, obviously it's a harder siege. If you have no catapults at all, you're probably not going to win this siege, right? Because they're going to have all 3 accesses. It's going to be extremely difficult. Now, I just realized something. I am making cutscenes and preparing the new Valandian campaign. Those episodes are imminent, by the way. Guys who want to see that. In fact, I shared a sneak preview on our Discord, one of the very first episodes, and we will probably have the first episode on YouTube by this next weekend, by Friday or Saturday. So look for that if you're waiting for that. Looking forward to that. It's going to be an incredible campaign. I've got quite the storyline building, I promise you, and it's probably going to be the most unique Bannerlord campaign you've ever seen. And I know there are a lot of them out there on YouTube. I'm telling you, it's going to be unique. All right, so the reason I was saying that is because the sun is setting rapidly. I've been fiddling around with the time pass mod, and the sun is set to like, or the game speed, the game time is set to like 50 times normal. So we started this battle in the morning, and here we are 10 minutes later, and the sun is setting. Oh shit, what's this guy? Who the fuck? Show me your hall pass. No one fucking said you could be right there. I got to get out of here because I'm almost dead. But apologies for the lighting. That's why everything's neon fucking... the Time Pass mod is a great mod, but when you set it to run, you know, where every minute is like 3 hours of game time, you do get effects like this, right? The system is simply not designed. No system is designed, or at least the Bannerlord system is not designed to handle this kind of lighting change. All right, so the enemy's coming in, and we've got a little bit of a mess here. I was worried about these archers. They are aggroing the enemy. Now, what happens is exactly what's happening. They're running up here to try to protect their friends because the AI is designed, if somebody's near them, they're shooting, to stop shooting and engage in melee. Well, we don't want them to, right? So probably going to have to move those guys back because, of course, by them attacking, what you start to get is a cascade effect of your units. And I'm going to try to include all of this knowledge, all of my experience in these episodes, or at least as much as I can, so you guys get sort of condensed tactical enlightenment. So what you really want to do with that division is move it back. But in the short term, I'm actually going to take advantage of it. I've got, let's see, we can try shoving them back here. I've got the 3rd Division on the other side charging. That's the Shock Troop Division, if you remember. These disobedient fucks we will tell to get back. And I'm going to use these divisions essentially in the short term to jam up the gate, right? The 3rd Division, by charging, is going to allow me to throw those rocks that are in the gatehouse. Now, these archers have great line of sight. The skirmishers are told to open fire here. They're killing. And notice they're just standing here. They're here to charge the gate and or to be a square at the gate, right? They have multiple purposes besides the fact that they're scorching the enemy in the back with javelins. Now we're going to run up here, dump all these rocks into the enemy. The 3rd Corps is charging. The reason that's key is it jams the enemy up in the gatehouse here, right? Ordinarily, you hear me preach, don't charge into the gatehouse. This is one of your exceptions. You want to throw all these rocks and have the enemy, look how compacted they are, right? I'm hitting 12 guys with every throw. And the death, you know, is really starting to spam. The enemy's really taking a beating. In fact, did they just fucking rout already? If you maul the enemy bad enough, they will rout early like this. And indeed, this siege defense is over. That was fast. So we've got this crazy lighting here. Apologies for that. But hopefully this helps the fella with Ortysia and anybody else who, of course, is having a difficult time defending the Imperial City of Ortysia. A 9-to-1 kill ratio here. That should do for you fellas. Now, that was so quick. I am going to do just an impossible challenge here, or extremely difficult challenge. Let's go ahead and blow a door open here. Well, let's have less troops, and we'll blow a hole in the wall here and see what we can do. I don't know if we can do this, but every once in a while we will attach something like this because occasionally you are going to experience this in Bannerlord. I will try to give you some words of wisdom, some of the experience I've learned in dealing with these situations, how you would defend this. Now, I'm going to blaze through this portion here. If anything, if I missed, I don't think I missed discussing too much of this the first time. I do like to have an elite 8th Division of archers. That way you can position them in a spot where they're going to do the maximum amount of damage. Think of having like your best players in the starting lineup or something like that. It's important to have those little advantages in Bannerlord. Now, same things before, except I got to deal with this hole, right? That 4th Division is probably going to be on hole detail. The last battle I put them here, but I don't think we can spare them there, right? We're going to have to come up with a solution to the hole in the wall. When you have a hole in the wall, it actually is as big a threat or bigger than the main gate for 2 reasons. First, it's almost as big as the main gate as far as the opening, but more importantly, the enemy tends to behave a little bit smarter with the hole. And what I mean by that is instead of charging your square here, they will simply run through, ignore your units on both sides of the square, or both sides of the hole, and just kill everybody in the courtyard. So you have to take a different approach, right? We're going to shrink the 1st Division, add a few troops here to the 4th, and I'm going to put the 3rd Division nearby here because we're going to have to charge early on. Basically, you can't fight it the same way you would if it was just a door being open. That's why, of course, this is such a harder siege defense. That and the fact that where do I put my archers, right? All these fucking buildings, again, they really shouldn't be here. But if these buildings weren't here, the flip side, I'll give Tail Worlds this nod. If these buildings weren't here, the enemy could never take your city, right? If you could lay out 300 archers in the courtyard that was totally impeded, especially if it was elevated, like if there was a bunch of stairs like this, no chance the enemy could ever take a city, and then of course the balance would be broken, right? I think I think if you could always easily defend, that wouldn't be a great thing. So I do like the variability in the game, and I like the fact that sometimes you can face these difficult challenges, hence why we're adding it to this episode. All right, I think that's good. It's still, and what I mean by good is it's as good as it's going to get. We're outnumbered badly now. It's about 4-1. The enemy is going to pour through that hole, and we have to prioritize just like the first episode. We're going to try to destroy that siege tower. So I'll be rushing up there in a hurry. And fortunately, that square does protect me, right? You got to be very careful in a situation where there's a hole. You got to think about where the enemy is going to come at you. Because if you go down as the commander in siege, most of the time it's a disaster. Not always, but most of the time. And of course, this character, especially when you're using the custom battle, they have unbelievably weak armor and stats, right? They have like 95 hit. I swear they have under 100 hit points, and you know, they take 80 damage from a Navianton blow. It's like a level 10 character. All right, so the same as the first. The siege tower is a long ways away, right? So we're going to be... Oh, shit. We're going to be chucking these fireballs out there. And unfortunately, that catapult seems to have honed in on us. We'll see. Yeah, that's coming right at us. In fact, get down, dude. Fuck. Those will one-shot you, right? You know, you got to be highly aware of that. And I'm getting smoked in the face. Come on, I think we got it nailed at least. God damn it, it's just short. That one's coming right for that guy. Don't destroy our catapult. Well, that's almost worse. It's destroying our cover. Now the archers are going to start shooting. This is going from bad to worse. And of course, this is why this is such a difficult situation. Damn, I'm missing my siege tower too. The guys are getting laid out left and right. Get down! The guy that just got up here just got insta-shot, insta-killed. So we're in a bad way here. I can't fire the catapult. I can't load it because the fireballs are being shot at there. I'm already down to half health. I've just got to sit here, and if I get hit, I get hit. We've got to get up here, dude. We've got to get that siege tower destroyed. Maybe 2 more shots and it'll be down, but talk about tenuous, right? We're under a duress here, to say the least. I drilled it there, and speaking of getting drilled, shot in the face. Oh shit, we just lost the rest of our cover. So now we're... talk about a disastrous situation. We have no cover. There's, you know, hundreds of archers all trying to kill me. I have no help to reload this thing. I can't reload that myself right now. I'll get killed. Here comes my guy trundling up the stairs. Come on, dude, get over here. And we're going to have to make this fast, right? We're going to have to basically just angle it over, shoot, and then duck. Okay, get down. Okay, we destroyed it. God, thank God. All right, so now what we got... They're going to start pouring at the gate. I'd actually prefer that this catapult was destroyed. That was intentional. If you can destroy it, they won't try to load it. Our guys are going to come up here and try to load it. And that itself is not that bad, but they're getting shot at, and they're getting me shot while they're standing up here, right? They're basically like that dipshit at the blackjack table who hits on an 18 when when you've got a 10 and you want his queen, fucking hits with the 18. Now I get killed here. We're pretty fucked. Anyways, you get the idea, right? These guys are problematic for me here. I'm going to charge with those divisions, or at least what's combined of our infantry divisions. You see them roaring up there. But the enemy has like 300 troops at this fucking entrance here. I've got to kill as many as I can. I'm getting fucking shot. I'm getting killed. Well, this siege is over. I can't even get to these fire catapults. Our units are all mixed now because I got killed. And I mentioned it, I think about 3 minutes ago. In siege, if you, the commander, go down in a really difficult situation, the siege is usually over. I mean, it depends on the situation, of course. But here, like, I can't even fucking throw these fireballs. I'm going to get killed. Our units are all mixed. The archers charged up. In fact, I just died. Gravity claims another one. We got a huge mess here, and you know what? This siege and this episode are over. I could try to split some archers up here, but we're gonna wrap this shit up. When you get to this stage here, I've played so many sieges. You know, I know what defeat smells like, and this stinks of defeat. But hopefully this episode was useful for you fellas. Hopefully the guy who says he's having a hard time in Ortysia. One of my favorite comments, fellas, and don't stop him, is when you guys use some of the tactics here, use some of the things we're trying to share with Bannerlord, and experience dramatic success, right? That's the best testimonial possible for the channel, so keep that coming. And keep stopping by the channel, right? You want to subscribe if you want to see more. Please hit the like button on the way out. With all that said, friends, I will see you fellas next time.